Yeah, our CBS News partners revealing some new GPS data from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, tracking the movements of the boat Nolan Wells was on before he disappeared July 4th.
Nolan told Katie he was getting back on the boat. Katie remembers it clearly. She's certain of it. But his friends told investigators something completely different. They said Nolan told them he wanted to stay behind. He chose to stay. Those are not two versions of the same story. Those are two versions of Nolan's final choice. Both cannot be true. One of these accounts is a lie, and for two parents who have already lost their son, not knowing which one is the hardest part. For 2 weeks, Katie's name meant nothing to the public. Nobody knew who she was. Nobody knew what she said. While the internet chased theories and viral clips, the one person who may have spoken to Nolan last sat completely unknown. Her mother had to come forward publicly just to clear up wild speculation that Katie was missing too. That's how invisible she was in this story. But what Katie said when she finally spoke matters more than almost anything else in this entire case. Because what Katie remembers does not match what Nolan's friends have told law enforcement. And now a family that has already lost everything has to sit with the possibility that somebody in this story is lying to them about the last words their son ever spoke. Think about that for a moment. Two parents searching for the truth about their son's final hours, and they can't even figure out which account to trust. Did Nolan choose to stay on that island, or did he intend to come home? For most families, that would be simple to answer. But for Nolan's parents, it has become the single hardest unanswered question in his entire case, and nobody has been able to hand them a real answer yet. Beyond that conversation, there are other details that don't add up. Smaller things, the kind of inconsistencies that would never make a headline on their own. But they add weight the longer you sit with them. The official police report says Nolan was wearing black shorts, but a young woman who was on the island that day reached out to his mother with photos showing Nolan in blue shorts, not black. On its own, it sounds like nothing. A clerical error. A misremembered detail. But imagine being that mother. You can't ask your son what he was wearing that day. You can't ask where he went or why. So every small detail becomes a thread, and once you start pulling on threads in a case built on other people's memories, you keep looking for the next one. Then there's what happened before they even found Nolan's body. His parents went to retrieve his car from a friend's driveway. It should have taken minutes. According to the family, it turned unexpectedly difficult. A friend claimed he couldn't find the keys. He went back inside to check again. Minutes passed. Long minutes. The kind that feel endless when your missing son is out there somewhere and you're standing on a stranger's porch with nowhere to go. Eventually, the keys turned up exactly where another person overheard on a phone call said they had been the entire time. Sitting on top of an Xbox inside the house. For a family desperate for straight answers, a delay like that doesn't read as coincidence. It reads as friction, appearing at the exact moment they needed things to be simple. And then there is Nolan's phone. According to family friends, Nolan posted to Snapchat almost every single day. It was a habit, so consistent nobody even thought about it, until it stopped. In the 24 hours before he disappeared, that activity went completely silent. No updates, no posts. A silence that everyone close to him says was simply not like him. When the phone was finally located, one more inconsistency surfaced. The location tied to the account didn't even match where the phone itself was actually found. Consider what it must feel like to be that mother. Your son's digital life has always been an open book. The kind of constant documentation so common for people his age that nobody thinks twice about it. And then for exactly the window of time that matters most, it goes completely quiet. Not gradually, not with warning, just silence. In the 24-hour stretch, his family would give anything to understand. Hit the subscribe button right now. Hit the notification bell. Because what we're uncovering next is the one part of this story that cannot be shaped by anyone's memory or anyone's loyalty or anyone's fear. It's based entirely on tracked data. It's based on what actually happened. At 9:56 in the morning on July 4th, the boat carrying Nolan and his friends left its dock. By 11:14, it had reached Horn Island. For several hours, the group stayed together, celebrating the holiday the way so many others were doing that same afternoon. At 4:31 that afternoon, according to data from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, the boat left Horn Island. Nolan was not on board. The boat returned to its original dock. Then, rather than staying there for the night, it kept moving. At 5:52 p.m., the boat traveled into Fort Bayou. By 6:06, it was back at the dock. Later that night at 7:19 p.m., the boat's position shifted one more time to the Fort Bayou boat launch. From there, according to the Marine Resources report, it was taken completely out of the water and moved over land, presumably towed by a vehicle, to a residence in Biloxi owned by the boat's owners. Sit with that sequence, 4 separate movements, all recorded automatically, after the moment Nolan was left behind. Not one simple boat trip home, but a series of stops across several hours, ending on land more than 70 miles from where the day began. That sequence, tracked without any input from anyone connected to this case, is the exact window investigators are still working to explain, and the exact window Nolan's parents replay in their minds over and over, searching for what might have happened inside it. On July 15th, Nolan's parents sat down face-to-face with Jackson County District Attorney for their first direct meeting since Nolan's body was found. Attorney Ben Crump described the meeting as respectful and candid. Out of that meeting came confirmation that the DA's findings will go to a grand jury. A grand jury referral is not a verdict. It is not a formal accusation. It does not mean charges have already been filed. What it means is that the case has reached a procedural point where its findings will be formally reviewed to determine whether charges are even warranted at all. It's a mechanism, a process. Movement, but not resolution. And this family knows the difference between those two words. Somewhere in Ocean Springs tonight, a mother is planning a service for a son she still doesn't fully understand losing. A father is still replaying a driveway, a set of missing keys, a phone call he overheard. And a young woman named Katie, who never asked to become part of a national story, is living with the knowledge that her final conversation with Nolan Wells has become one of the most scrutinized exchanges in the country, even though by every account she has done nothing but tell investigators what she remembers. Underneath all the grand jury language and the GPS timestamps and the legal terminology, there is still just a family in a small Mississippi community trying to understand how a holiday boat trip with friends ended with their son gone. Nothing about a grand jury referral changes that. Those are steps, important ones, but they are steps toward an answer this family hasn't received yet. Somewhere in Mississippi tonight, a family is still waiting for the truth about that night. And they deserve to have it told right, without speculation, without shortcuts, without anything added that isn't actually known. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next confirmed update the moment it breaks. We'll be back when there's something real to report. See you next time.